Namaskar, good morning. You are watching Rajya Sabha television. I'm Smriti Rastogi with Breakfast News. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. Campaigning in last leg in Rajasthan and Telangana. Prime Minister's rallies in Hyderabad and Jodhpur today. Rahul Gandhi and Chandrababu Naidu to hold roadshow in Telangana. TRS releases party manifesto. National honour for outstanding work in empowering people with disabilities. Vice President to confer 72 awards today. Centre directs schools to reimburse books, uniforms and transport of children with disabilities. Private sector must ensure affordable and accessible treatments as Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu asks it to set up healthcare facilities in rural areas as part of its corporate social responsibility activities. World Bank doubles current 5-year funding in climate action to $200 billion for 2021 to 25 at UN Conference on Climate Change in Poland. Guidelines to implement 2015 Paris Agreement expected to be finalized. And India-Belgium match ends in a 2-2 draw at the World Cup men's hockey tournament. Spain to play France, Argentina to clash with New Zealand today. First, all the election news and Battleground 2018. It is the last leg of the campaigning for Rajasthan and Telangana with just 4 days left for voting there. Campaigning is at a feverish pitch. Back from the G20 summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will campaign in the two states today. He is scheduled to address an election rally in Hyderabad today. This is the Prime Minister's second visit to the poll-bound state of Telangana. He had addressed meetings at Nizamabad and Mehbubnagar last week. The Prime Minister will also hold a public meeting at Jodhpur today. BJP President Amit Shah addressed public meetings in different parts of Telangana on Sunday. In Hyderabad, Amit Shah targeted TRS chief Chandrasekhar Rao on the issue of 12% reservation in the state, unburdening the state with crores of rupees by opting for early polls. In another campaign in Hyderabad, Nitin Gadkari called the TRS and the TDP private limited parties as opposed to BJP, which is a democratic party.
TRS ने 12% रिजर्वेशन माइनॉरिटी के लिए किया है। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, ये 12% रिजर्वेशन चंद्रशेखर राव आप कहां से लाओगे? 50% की मर्यादा है दलितों का, आदिवासियों का, ओबीसी का, किसका कम कर लाओगे? ये ओबीसी के दबाव में आकर आपने 12% रिजर्वेशन माइनॉरिटी को देने का कहा है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी तेलंगाना की जनता को भरोसा दिलाती है मित्रों, हमें 12% रिजर्वेशन को कभी नहीं होने देंगे।
And Home Minister Rajnath Singh campaigned for his party in Rajasthan on Sunday. He accused the Congress of creating a crisis of distrust in politics and claimed there was a difference in their words and deeds.
चुनाव लड़े जाने चाहिए, लेकिन मुद्दे ऐसे होने चाहिए जो समाज की सामाजिक समरसता को तोड़ने वाले न हो। ये तो आमादा हैं, चाहे जैसे हो सरकार बने, भले ही सामाजिक समरसता, सोशल हार्मनी तार क्यों न हो जाए।
And Union Health Minister and Telangana BJP election in charge J.P. Nadda targeted the TRS government for allegedly blocking development of the state by not implementing central sector schemes. He also dubbed Grand Alliance as an unholy one. Our correspondent Kriti Mishra gets this exclusive conversation with the Union Minister.
Union Minister and BJP is in charge of Telangana, Mr. JP Nadda. Welcome to Rajya Television, sir. Last time around, there were 5 seats of the BJP in the state. This time around, the BJP is fighting aggressively, seeking to add one more state in its kitty. What is BJP's game plan?
First of all, I would like to say that people are dejected with the present KCR government. They feel cheated. Corruption is rampant. Funds have been diverted, and the poor and the marginal sections of the society has been ignored. Telugu Desam has been also against Telangana. So these are the questions of contradictions which they are facing. People have faith in Bharatiya Janata Party. They have seen national government working under Prime Minister Modi. They also know that many programs for the marginal section of the society, for the deprived class, have been brought by Narendra Modi ji. But these programs are not being implemented in Telangana state. So that is the cause of concern for the people here.
About dejection with the incumbent government. But the TRS says that there's no anti-incumbency and it is the most farmer-friendly government in the country, and also that it has unveiled the maximum number of developmental programs for all sections of society.
He should name out the development projects which has been witnessed, because the people of Telangana are unaware about it. It's only KCR who knows about it, and he can only answer. But as far as they being farmer friendly, and I feel that the number of suicides taken place here shows how much farmer friendly he was.
Meanwhile, Congress President Rahul Gandhi will also campaign in Telangana today. Rahul Gandhi will participate in 3 meetings today. Gandhi and TDP leader Chandrababu Naidu will also hold in a roadshow in Kukatpalli. This will be the second time both leaders will share the dais in the poll-bound state. And several Congress leaders, including Jairam Ramesh, Ghulam Nabi Azad, Virappa Moily, Kapil Sibal, held various roadshows in Hyderabad yesterday. Azad was accompanied by Chandrababu Naidu in his roadshow. Speaking in Hyderabad, Kapil Sibal alleged that farmer suicide has gone up in the state.
3 एकड़ लैंड शेड्यूल कास्ट को हम दे देंगे। कहां है वो 3 एकड़? 10,000 रुपया देंगे, नौकरी देंगे, हर परिवार में एक नौकरी देंगे। कहां है वो नौकरी?
And TRS chief KCR on Sunday released its party's manifesto ahead of the elections. The manifesto promises enhancement of retirement age of the government servants by 3 years to 61 and unemployment allowance of nearly 3,000 rupees to youth. The manifesto also promises a raise in the pensions of differently abled persons from 1,500 rupees to 3,016 rupees. The party has promised 1 lakh rupees loan waivers to farmers. Releasing the 24 poll promises in its manifesto, KCR said that his party would continue to implement all the existing schemes extensively. Well, that was all the election news. Moving on to some more developments. Sunil Arora took charge as the 23rd Chief Election Commissioner on Sunday. After assuming the charge, the new Chief Election Commissioner sought cooperation from all stakeholders, which includes political parties, media, civil society organizations and people at large, in making our elections totally free, fair, peaceful, accessible and ethical. Arora succeeds O.P. Rawat, who demitted office last week and will be in office till 2021 October.
भारतीय चुनाव आयोग एक प्रकार से सारे विश्व में जो डेमोक्रेटिक वर्ल्ड के लिए एक आइडियल है, और जो देश डेमोक्रेसी की तरफ बढ़ रहे हैं उनके लिए एक प्रकाश पुंज है। हम सब मिलके जो संविधान में परिकल्पना की गई थी चुनाव आयोग से, चुनाव आयोग की या चुनाव आयोग की भूमिका की, और विशेष तौर पे जो आदर्श हमारे संविधान के प्रीएम्बल में उद्धृत किए गए हैं, हम उनके अनुसार यथासंभव काम करेंगे।
And with that, we'll head into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Delhi's rich history and heritage is also a story of monuments marking the beginning of eras and kingdoms. One of the oldest such monuments is Qutb Minar, which marks the establishment of Delhi's Sultanate. Qutb Minar was commissioned by Qutbuddin Aibak, who laid the foundation of Mamluk dynasty rule in India. Nearly 73 meters to 40 feet high, this tower is built on the pattern of Victory Tower at Ghazni. It remains to this day one of the most spectacular buildings in India, dating to medieval era. The red sandstone minaret is divided into 5 stories, each of which has a balcony. The view from its top, now rare, once overlooked the old walls and the ruins spread over the vast expanse of plains in Delhi. While the construction began in 1192 AD, Qutbuddin Aibak didn't live long enough to see it completed. The Minar was eventually completed in 1220 by his successor Iltutmish.
Hello and welcome. I'm Chakshu Roy and you're watching Laws in the Making on Rajya Sabha TV.
One of the changes that has been brought about by the bill is to allow for the appointment of technical experts.
It is a very good step for a developing nation.
Government wants to change this law to cope up with all those transactions like just foreign direct investment.
Watch Laws in the Making on Rajya Sabha television.
The prolific British poet and story writer Joseph Rudyard Kipling, one of the first masters of short stories in English. In 1894 appeared his Jungle Book, which became a children's classic all over the world. Kim, the story of Kimball O'Hara and his adventures in the Himalayas, is perhaps his most felicitous work published. Set in and concerned with India he had come to know and love so well. In 1907, Kipling became the first English language writer to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Thanks for being with us. Outstanding work for unemployment of people with disabilities will be awarded today. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu will give away the national honours to 72 recipients across 14 wide categories. For National Awards 2018, an advertisement inviting applications from persons belonging to all the 21 specified disabilities was published in the leading newspapers. In all, 1,221 applications were received till last date of receipt of applications. The National Selection Committee, in its meeting held on 1st November 2018, considered the applications shortlisted by the screening committees and recommended 72 awards in 14 categories of national awards. Till 2017, the awards were provided under 7 categories. It has now been increased to 21. The awards will be conferred to individuals, institutions, and organizations. The Human Resource Development Ministry has given directions to all the schools in the country that expenditure incurred on books, uniforms and transport of children with disabilities would be reimbursed. Minister of State for HRD Satyapal Singh said that there are about 12 million people with disability and just 1% go to the schools. Giving away the Helen Keller Awards 2018 in the national capital on Sunday, he said that differently abled people just do not need courtesy and compassion, but real empowerment, which would come through education. He added that the girl child will be given 200 rupees per month. The government from this academic session has also issued directions that there will be minimum 5% admission for differently abled children in all the educational bodies. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu had said that the private sector must ensure that the treatment provided by them is not only accessible but also affordable. Speaking after the inauguration of Rainbow Children's Hospital in Chennai on Sunday, the Vice President highlighted the importance of healthcare in governance in the country. He called upon the private sector to partner with the government in making healthcare affordable as well as accessible to the common man, particularly in the rural and remote parts of the nation. He also said that the sector must set up healthcare facilities in the rural areas as part of its corporate social responsibility activities. He stressed that the participation and cooperation of both public and private sector is essential to improve the preventive and treatment interventions for newborns and those below 5 years to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal target of reducing under 5 mortality to 25% to 25 per thousand live births by 2030.
The most important aspects of governance of any country. It is extremely crucial for any developing nation like India to provide a healthy and happy childhood to children. Ensuring a healthy and happy childhood to children who are the future of our country is the responsibility of every Indian, not the government alone. It must be noted that childhood plays a vital role in the overall physical, emotional and social well-being of an individual in the later years. In India, an estimated 24.7 million children are born every year. According to a census 2011, the share of the children, that is 0 to 6 years, accounted for 13.12% of the total population of the country. The experience in childhood leaves a profound impact and lays the foundation for the future. A child who is well nurtured nutritionally and emotionally will not only be happy but also stay healthy. According to the UNICEF, nearly 43% of children below 5 years in low and middle income countries are not getting the required nutrition, protection and the stimulation they needed. More than 60% of the people, they live on agriculture. Their main vocation is agriculture and they live in the rural areas. So we need to strengthen, equip, raise the standards of the primary health care centers. Of course, the governments are doing it. They must do it in a big way. I am sure the government's announcements of Ayushman Bharat, National Health Protection Scheme, to provide medical insurance to 10 crore poor and needy families will contribute towards improvement in maternal and child health indicators. Similarly, the government's proposal to establish 1.5 health and wellness centers across the country to provide comprehensive health care, including maternal and child health service, is expected to improve the situation.
Some more developments which are expected to take place through the day, that External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will be on a 2-day visit to UAE from today. She will co-chair the 12th session of the India-UAE Joint Commission meeting for economic and technical cooperation in Abu Dhabi, along with her counterpart Sheikh Abdul bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Along with the UAE Foreign Minister, Swaraj will also inaugurate a Gandhi Zayed Digital Museum in Abu Dhabi to mark the celebration of 150 years of Mahatma Gandhi's birth and centenary celebrations of the birth of Sheikh Zayed, who was the founder of the modern UAE. She would also interact with the Indian community in Abu Dhabi. India and UAE are one of the largest trade partners and have made robust investments bilaterally with nearly $50 billion bilateral trade. The UAE is the sixth largest source of Indian oil imports and hosts a 3.3 million strong Indian community. RBI's Monetary Policy Committee will begin its three-day monetary policy review meeting from today. According to the experts, the top bank is likely to maintain status quo on interest rate despite moderation in economic growth and easing inflation. After back-to-back hikes since June, the RBI had kept interest rates unchanged in the previous policy review in October. The issue of liquidity in the banking system is also likely to be discussed in the meeting. The six-member Monetary Policy Committee is headed by RBI Governor Urjit Patel, and the outcome of the meeting will be announced on Wednesday. And with that, time for another short break. Stay with us.
Rajya Sabha TV's YouTube channel has just crossed a new, exciting milestone. It now has over 1 million subscribers. That's more than 10 lakh people who like and want to watch RSTV. Over 15 crore people have watched our videos. Our online viewers are also engaging with us more actively on YouTube. More and more people like, share and comment on our videos. We thank you, our growing tribe of RSTV viewers. We will strive every day to bring you more exciting and engaging content. So stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back. The World Bank has unveiled a $200 billion in a climate action investment for 2021 to 25. This amounts to a doubling of its current 5-year funding. The announcement coincided with the UN Climate Summit meeting of some 200 nations in Poland. The World Bank said the move also sends an important signal to the wider global community to do the same. Now, the developed countries are committed to lifting combined annual public and private spending to $100 billion in developing countries by 2020 to fight the impact of climate change. Meanwhile, the UN Conference on Climate Change that began in Katowice in Poland will continue till 14th of this month. COP24 is very significant as it is expected to finalize guidelines for implementation of the Paris Agreement of 2015. Environment Minister Harshvardhan, who is leading a delegation, outlined India's expectations from the conference. He said that India expects the conference should be able to frame guidelines which are pragmatic and gives due consideration to challenges and priorities of developing countries. China and the United States have agreed to a ceasefire in their bitter trade war after high-stakes talks in Argentina between US President Donald Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. Trump will leave tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports at 10% at the beginning of the new year, agreeing to not raise them to 25% at this time. The White House said China has agreed to start purchasing agricultural product from our farmers immediately. The two leaders also agreed to immediately start talks on structural changes with respect to forced technology transfers, intellectual property protection, non-tariff barriers, cyber intrusions and cyber theft, services and agriculture. Both countries agreed they will try to have this transaction completed within the next 90 days. But if this does not happen, then the 10% tariffs will be raised to 25%, it added. The Chinese government's top diplomat, State Councillor Wang Yi, said that the negotiations were conducted in a friendly and candid atmosphere. France is facing its worst civil unrest in 50 years. Over 400 people have been arrested in Paris over protests against French president's new policy of fuel tax hike and overall economic policies, which people claim favor the wealthy and big businesses. Over 250 people were reported to be injured in France, with 133 people injured in Paris, including 23 members of a security force. Now, since the protest began on 17th of November, activists have torched cars, smashed monuments, looted shops and clashed with police in the ongoing nationwide protests, which are now called as the Yellow Vest protests. French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday surveyed the damage from the day of riots across Paris. He also held a crisis meeting with the Prime Minister and top officials that ended with a call for further talks with anti-government activists. The government has not ruled out imposing a state of emergency to combat the protests after last week talks with the activists failed. Macron has so far refused to roll back taxes on fuel, which he says are needed to fund the country's transition to a low-emission economy. And sports news now. In the 14th edition of the Men's Hockey World Cup, the match between India and Belgium ended in a draw at Bhubaneswar. In their Group C encounter, both India and Belgium scored 2 goals each. Belgium's Alexander Hendricks scored the opener in the 9th minute, while for India, Harmanpreet converted a penalty corner into a goal in the 39th minute. Simranjeet Singh added another goal for India in the 47th minute, but a goal by Simon equalized the score. India is currently on top of the Pool C following a victory over South Africa in their opening game. The men in blue will next face Canada on Saturday in their third Pool C match. And earlier, in another Group C game, the match between South Africa and Canada also ended in a draw with score of 1 goal each. Both South Africa and Canada lost their opening games to India and Belgium, respectively. Spain will face France in their Pool A encounter, while New Zealand will take on Argentina. Both Spain and France lost their first Pool A matches, while Argentina and New Zealand have won their respective opening games. Indian shuttlers Lakshya Sen and Asmita Chaliha won the Tata Open title in Mumbai. Sen defeated his Thai opponent Kunlavut 21-15, 21-10 in just 35 minutes to lift the men's singles title. With the win, Sen avenged his defeat in the last month's World Juniors final. In the All-Indian women's singles final, Asmita Chaliha defeated compatriot Roshali. Asmita beat 8-seeded Roshali 21-16, 21-13 in half an hour to lift her first international crown. And the men's doubles, Indian duo of Arjun MR and Sumit Reddy defeated their Malaysian rivals 21-10, 21-16 to lift the coveted title. And that's all we have for you in this edition. Thank you for watching.